Hi guys, it's Natalie here again today, and I am going to show you a bit of a walkthrough of a little process page that I'm going to be putting together. I have been reading through the Created to Create Devotional, which is really speaking to me, and I'm only up to, I think this is day 4 I did, which is Explore It. And that's what I'm going to be working on today. The verse that it references is James 1:5, which talks about if any of you lacks wisdom, let him ask God, who gives generously to all without reproach, and it will be given to him. And in the context of the devotional, it's talking about making sure that you're always yourself and being true to what God has called you to do, and that sometimes when we follow fashions or fads and trends and we try to maybe emulate what somebody else has done, that it leaves us lacking inspiration and leaves us feeling empty. And if we ask God always to prepare our hearts and ask if that's the right thing for us to be doing, and I guess that's where the verse comes in, then we're much more likely to be, or we will be, on the right path. And so, this is something that I've spoken about in a lot of my process videos before, the idea of being true to yourself, and of even in the context of when it comes to doing your Bible journaling, of doing what you feel called to do and not having to look at Pinterest and Instagram and Facebook for inspiration. And whilst I seriously, I do all of those things, I'm not saying don't do those things. I'm just saying, look for inspiration, but then ask how you're going to apply it to your pages. And so, today I've obviously already journaled James 1:5, so I have a little bit of space here, but I just thought I'm going to go onto the other side. And being true to myself, my calling, if you like, I don't think I'd maybe use as strong a word as calling, but I'm a scrapbooker. So I use papers and, these enamel dots and little things to cut out. Like, this is what I like to do, rather than necessarily drawing pictures or doing great works of sort of brush script calligraphy and all of those sorts of things. And I mix it up. Like, obviously you can see here that I have done little drawings, but these are very simple things. And that's, sometimes, you've got to mix it up, definitely. But let's go back to my roots, and I was just going to use some papers, and I've got some scrap papers from the first collection, the Illustrated Faith, or Ballard Boulevard put out with Illustrated Faith, or Whatever is Lovely collection. And I've seriously just got some scraps that I'm going to use. And I was just thinking of something really, really simple. And I'm thinking just a seriously simple grid pattern of papers. This is not about overthinking it. It's about getting colour and pattern. That's all. I have got the backing paper that came with that stamp that's in the Created to Create kit, and it talks about using punches to punch out these 1-inch circle ones at the top. So that was easy. Don't worry, somebody is looking after Judah. That's Bethany. So I'm just going to stick that one there. Oh, he's bumped his head. Oh dear. Maybe the star. Blue on blue, or should we go blue on yellow? Makes more impact there, doesn't it, if I do that? And we're keeping sort of similar colour schemes. So what else do I want to do? I obviously haven't stuck any of these things down. Let's just, again, sticking with what I like to do, I'm actually thinking that I'm going to sew these into my Bible. Yes, you can sew into your Bible. Oh, I think it's run out of glue. Well, now we're definitely going to be sewing because I've run out of glue. No, I don't even have enough to stick that there. Oh dear. And then right at the bottom, I'm going to use this clear transparency. You know, it's got lots of different words here. You know, think happy thoughts, love your neighbor as yourself, be gracious, be honest, be noble. And I'm going to mix and match some words. So I'm going with this idea of being yourself. So I'm going to cut out the yourself from, it says love your neighbor as yourself. And then there's lots of B's, be loving, be caring, be true. And that's going to go there. I think, or maybe this is, we'll make it whole sentence around down the bottom, which means I've got a little space here for something. What can we find? Maybe up here. Well, that might go up the top. Sticking with all these blues and yellows and pinks. Maybe I'll do my little bit of journaling in that space so that it actually makes sense when I come to look at this page later on. So here's what I'm going to do. I am going to take this to my sewing machine. And I'm just going to sew right down the middle. I'm going to go quite slowly on my sewing machine because these pages are really thin, obviously, and we don't want it to tear. So I want it to be on a wide stitch, and I'm just going to go really slowly. And I'll come back and show you how this is turning out. So there it is. I've just done a simple thread down the middle. I put another layer of this blue paper on this one just to give it a little bit of extra dimension, and then I was just going to show you how I was going to stick down this transparency at the bottom. I thought about, like, I could sew that on as well, or I'm going to use some skinny washi tape to stick it on. So I've got two colors that are going to match with this, and because I'm putting it right down the bottom, like, the washi tape is not going to cover up any of the words. So I'm just going to do one layer and then two layers just because I can, because it's extra color. You know, it's all about layers. For me, in scrapbooking, certainly, it's all about layers. If you've ever seen any of my cards, for example, it's layer upon layer. And so, you know, if I'm sticking true to myself with Bible journaling as well, it's going to be the same. Just going to trim off this excess here. I'm going to put a little bit of a sticking out tab at the top from the same stickers. I thought this is going to be a perfect opportunity to write this "Be True." Pink, I think. There's a couple of choices of different "be." So "Be True." And what else? So it's looking nice and colourful now, isn't it? I wanted to stick on some of these enamel blocks. Again, it's in the same colour scheme, so I'm wondering, where am I going to put those? Down here maybe is another reinforcement to keep that transparency in place. And then I found some extra stickers that I thought will just sum up my journaling here. I've got, I'm a child of God and perfectly loved. Just need to move that enamel dot out from underneath and put him on top. Trim off that extra thread. And date stamp. I need a date stamp. Hang on, I didn't get it. Let me. Date stamp is what's going to fit down there in that gap. So today is the 7th of March. In there. All right, and so seriously, how quick was that? I guess you could argue that, you know, it doesn't sort of say a whole bunch of a message, but it, you know, it gets sort of the idea across of just being yourself and being confident in your own abilities and to do what sort of God is calling you to do. And you know, it's certainly making an impact on this page. It's nice and colourful and bold, and you're instantly going to be sort of drawn to that page when it comes to flipping through this Bible. So that is all I wanted to share with you today. I've obviously got to go and look after my child. Thank you for joining with me again, and I'll see you again in my very next video. Bye.